Hello and welcome to the Stronghold Digital Mining, not so daily update anymore. It's kind of more like a weekly update, it seems. But it's largely been due to the fact that we've kind of been in this holding pattern, as I've referenced in a relatively recent broadcast, where there's just so much stuff kind of like hanging out there for which there's no clear resolution as of yet. And I want to be particularly careful not to front run or in any way, shape, or form kind of speculate too wildly about what may or may not be going on behind the scenes, given the fact that, hey, this is a really serious process at this point. You know, back on January 24th of this year, 2024, I created a broadcast that basically had the thumbnail say SDIG in play. And today, May 2nd, 2024, what really started out as a very sort of obscure, largely overlooked, easy to overlook comment made by our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Greg Beard, on a podcast, a very small comment made in that podcast immediately, as I shared in that broadcast, right? Hey, it immediately told me that the company was in play. And, you know, it wasn't as direct as somebody saying, hey, we're putting ourselves up for sale, or hey, we're formally going to be exploring strategic alternatives. It hadn't gotten to that point yet. But that was my intuitive sense of what was going on. And today we received official, formal, unambiguous confirmation that the appalling valuation which the market has assigned to shares of Stronghold Digital Mining is going to be remedied. And one of the ways in which the company is going to attempt to remedy this, really bizarre situation is to explore strategic alternatives, which can include selling certain assets of the business or quite possibly selling the entire business, meaning Stronghold Digital Mining is now officially in play. A lot of mainstream news outlets carried news of this. X is definitely active with a lot of thoughts and comments as it relates to this development. I can't say that I'm surprised because I already sensed this was happening as I shared in late January of 2024. I will say that somebody asked, hey, what happens to this channel if Stronghold Digital Mining is absorbed by some other entity? Does that mean it's the end or a new beginning? And, while I'm open-minded to the idea of it being a new beginning, I'm also mindful of the fact that, this has been a really interesting journey for all of us, really, when you really think about it. And I do think that this journey may very well be coming to the end insofar as Stronghold Digital Mining being an independent, publicly traded company. To the extent a deal is going to be announced or consummated, I suspect it'll happen relatively quickly. Now, the alternative is, hey, we've got this remarkable carbon capture project for which a official packet has been submitted to Puro Earth, right, which is that registry that we're trying to get registered on. Hey, we get registered on there, we become transactable insofar as our carbon, capture credits. There's a lot of very positive things going on from an execution perspective behind the scenes. Well, not even behind the scenes. It's in black and white, right? This is what's being reported by the company officially. And so, hey, if something doesn't materialize, we need to continue marching forward, and we need to continue to do the very best we can with, what we've got. But this is, I believe, a very unusual circumstance in which the company has, in so many words, put itself up for sale, or at least that's the way the market is interpreting this. Yet you have a share price that's hovering around $3 a share. I think the fully diluted, value based on a slide in today's investor presentation would be about 57 million, anywhere from 57 million to 64 million. It depends how you compute how many shares are outstanding. I know the dashboard, I believe, was at around 64-ish million at a share price of about $3 exactly. I think the slide indicated we'd be at around 57. So again, enterprise value based on the slide in today's investor presentation, about 105 million, give or take a little bit. To reach something that's more equitable with our peers, we'd see our stock price go up like 400%. Again, this is based on today's slide presentation. I'll link to that in the description. I'll link to that in the description to today's broadcast. Okay, so you can review that yourself. I'm sort of at a loss for words a little bit. I'm sort of tongue twisted here a bit because it's one of those deals where today during the investor presentation there was no Q&A period, ostensibly due to the sensitive nature of what's going on. And that makes sense to me. It makes particular sense to me when you've got what could very well amount to potential interest that's already being expressed by third parties. And, when you may already be, to some degree, already engaging in a due diligence process, right? Whereby Stronghold is really being reviewed very carefully. Already, potentially, right, by third parties to determine whether or not Stronghold's assets would be a good fit for what they've got going on. I think this is going to happen. If it's going to happen, I think it's going to happen in the next 30 to 60, possibly 90 days. I would be surprised if this process were to extend beyond 90 days. The reason I say that, and let me be clear, if we're going to be acquired or merge, that's probably going to happen within that time period. If nothing materializes, hey, there are no attractive offers, we feel as if though what's been presented to us isn't really a good fit, for whatever reason, hey, we have to march on independently then, right? And all the while, again, it's hard to do because, now this is out there. Everybody's talking about, hey, are we going to merge? Are we going to get bought? What's going on? But we need, right, to focus on execution, as Greg said in today's investor presentation. But, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen, I think, relatively quickly. And what's baffling to me is that our share price hasn't even seemingly registered what took place today. I'm reminded of when Alaska Airlines acquired like Hawaiian Airlines, and the deal was announced on a Sunday for $18 in cash per share. Alaska Airlines acquiring Hawaiian Airlines for, I believe it was like $18 in cash per share. And you must think, well, yeah, man, that maybe makes sense, right? Hey, Hawaiian Airlines probably was trading at around $15, maybe $16 a share on Friday, right? The week before. So, small premium, because remember, markets are presumably efficient. Well, as it turns out, Hawaiian Airlines was trading for under $5 a share the previous Friday. So I'm not suggesting that we're going to see something like that regarding our share price, but the possibility exists. Okay? The possibility exists that this market is simply dysfunctional. Doesn't understand us, doesn't even really get what was even announced today. I jokingly said on X a little while ago, we could potentially have a definitive agreement that's been announced for a stock price that's substantially higher than where we are trading right now. And given this dysfunctional upside down market, we could potentially, I'm sort of half jokingly saying this, right? But hey, it wouldn't surprise me if despite that news being out there, shares of Stronghold Digital Mining still trade down for the day, or something completely baffling and like incongruent like that. So we'll have to see what happens. Again, I don't want to front run anything. I don't want to speculate too wildly, other than to say that to the extent a deal is consummated, I suspect it'll be for a price that is higher than around $3 a share. I would place the odds of a deal happening at probably close to maybe 70-ish%, maybe 75%. These are incredibly attractive assets, incredibly attractive. And, even at whatever price, should this take place, right? At whatever price the company is being acquired for, it's still going to be probably a tremendous bargain to the purchaser simply because of, the market dynamics that we see unfolding within the PJM grid, the dynamics we see unfolding nationally here in the United States with the well-intended decommissioning, right, of all these baseload power facilities to be replaced ostensibly by wind farms, I guess, or, like solar, which is beautiful and awesome. But the bottom line is, as mentioned in our investor presentation today, we're setting ourselves up not to have the capacity to produce, right, enough electricity to meet the demand that's going to be there in the future. And, it's, hey, for better or for worse, this is kind of what it is. Hey, for you and me as people who have to pay an electric bill, it's probably going to kind of suck a bit, right? For companies like Stronghold Digital Mining that own and operate, right, their own energy producing assets, that's a very intriguing situation to be in, to say the least. Okay, my friend, man, this has been, as I said, a hell of a journey. It's still not over yet. There is still going to be a lot to talk about as the days and weeks and months, progress ahead here. We're going to see this process unfold before our very eyes. And I am optimistic that we will, at long last, see the type of shareholder value that I think we've all intuitively sensed and known is appropriate for a company like ours. I'm paraphrasing, but as Greg said in the investor presentation today, yes, you might have some, a little bit of a difference in valuation based on, say, a company's leverage or scale. But, the difference in valuation that exists between Stronghold Digital Mining and our Bitcoin mining peers, that gulf, that chasm that exists between our valuation and that of our peers is so large that it just doesn't make any sense. I certainly agree with that. And, I think I'll leave it at that. But to the extent you have some shares of Stronghold Digital Mining, I think you may want to pay attention to what goes on over the next couple of months, because I strongly suspect, we're going to probably end up merging or being acquired. If we end up having to, continue to march on our own, hey, there is still pending that $250 million shelf registration, that universal shelf registration with the SEC, which then conceivably could turn us into a potential acquirer of assets in an effort to continue forward, to grow and to prosper and to continue the mission critical, I think, purpose and mission of this business, which is forgotten in today's headlines, but which is to ultimately attempt to continue to clean up all of the mine waste that continues to exist here in my home state of Pennsylvania. Okay, that was a bit much, right? So here we are. Let's stay positive. We have every reason to be positive, I think, given today's developments. Let's be great. Let's continue to strive to be great. And let's kind of see how the headlines unfold, what news we get from the company. And we'll probably see each other again sometime next week, potentially sooner, depending on circumstances. Okay, my friend, until then, take care and I'll see you soon.